Mr. Arvidas Tamulis and his wife Adrone have been living in Marquette Park for over 12 years. They own a house and have 2 sons. He's a computer specialist, while his wife administers the Lithuanian Montessori school located in Marquette Park.
Would you describe or consider the Marquette Park neighborhood as an ethnic community?
Very much so, and that is why we live here. One thing is the type of neighborhood as far as the safety of it, and the biggest factor is the ethnic aspect of it. We live here for a very special reason.
The ethnic awareness in America has dealt more with ethnic heritage and not with what these cultures are now achieving and contributing here in America. That is no doubt because there are few places where these ethnic cultures are really dynamic and active. Is Marquette Park one of the places where Lithuanian culture is really active and dynamic?
Well, we're fortunate because of Marquette Park and the proximity of a large majority of the Lithuanians that live here. We're fortunate to live in this area and therefore be able to continue the various artistic and theatrical aspects of educational aspects, thank you, of our culture, and it is a living thing, and we want our children to grow up in it, at least to know that they are Lithuanians, and to be proud of it.
Now, you yourself are Lithuanians, and what keeps you with the Lithuanians? You're a second generation here, and what bonds keep you together?
We're Lithuanian, and I was born there, although I left at a very, very young age. And I see no reason why I should forget my heritage or forget that I'm Lithuanian.
So why do you want your children to be Lithuanian and speak the language and know the culture, not in a passive way, but also in an active way?
Because you never can lose in knowing something other than the norm. It's something that is extra for them. I mean, I don't expect them to go through life and be, speak just Lithuanian, but I just want them to know that there is such a thing, and to be able to be free in the atmosphere and to be able to speak the language, but read it, maybe not completely correctly, but at least be very familiar with it.
Do you consider that to be a positive input into the American life?
Very definitely, yes.
How about you?
America is claimed to be strong because of the different cultures that comprise it, and we happen to have ours, and that's how we contribute to the overall American culture.
Yeah, but how would the integration movement, in other words, the movement of blacks into the Marquette Park region affect the cultural activities that go on here?
I think they would die. They would diminish and die because people wouldn't, if there weren't Lithuanians living here to use them and participate in them, they would just not be.
I think personally, I don't mind I would not mind if blacks moved in and lived in the park. The threat I see is that what I'm afraid of is that the whites that have the houses here and maintain the character of the neighborhood would move out.
And that's a question which I want to ask you. What would make you, or what would force you move out of the neighborhood?
Well, I think if we felt that it wasn't safe for our children, that I couldn't let my son use the park by himself, I would worry, or would be afraid to go in the evening or by myself for a walk or to the store or something, to the point where I would barricade my door and stay inside. Then I think it's time to move.
Oh, so safety is one consideration. Are there any other considerations?
The other consideration is the fact that we have a large Lithuanian aspect to this neighborhood, and that is one of the things that we can provide ourselves and our children because of the proximity. And if that aspect goes, then to us, Marquette Park is just like any place else where you shoot a dart at on the map of Chicago.
Do you think the questions of integration has changed now? For example, Mike Royko recently had an article in Daily News where he was expressing amazement that, for example, the Martin Luther King Jr. movement people are still thinking in terms of 1964 and the issues raised then. Do you think the question of integration has taken a different aspect now?
I think it is a lot different, and I think Royko is very right. And I've just recently read some comments by Finney out of the Woodlawn area. And in fact, I really, the point that he made was that we cannot have true integration until the whites will be wanting to move into black areas just as much as the blacks will be wanting to move into white areas.
Do you think the blacks want to move into Marquette Park?
I believe so. I think that for probably the biggest push is the middle class or that level black who does not want to live in a slum or a ghetto, and I don't blame him. And he wants to move. He wants to provide the same kind of things for his family that I want to provide for mine.
So, do your other Lithuanian friends think in the same way about this question?
That's difficult. I guess there is probably as many opinions among the Lithuanians as among any other group, and yes, some of them are running away to the suburbs, and others are staying here, but they already have their lots bought out in Lamont and Clarendon Hills, and they're ready to make the jump. And they have various reasons for doing this. And some of it is racial, some of it is economic. I personally, I like the city. I want to live in the city. I don't want to live in the suburbs. I feel that it's just too far from the... I enjoy the city. I enjoy the things that it provides. I like to be close to it. And since I want to live in the city near the loop, or at least within a short drive of it, this is an ideal place.
The blacks moving into the Marquette Park neighborhood are busy settling in and taking good care of their new homes. There's no question about that. Nevertheless, the neighborhood's already showing definite signs of decay. Abandoned houses stand next to ones that are carefully maintained by the new black owners. This is not their fault. The rapid exodus of the whites combined with the rapid influx of the blacks and the present FHA policies are causing this.
In your mind, what stands out the most when you think about the Marquette Park?
Well, I never really thought about it myself.
How about you?
I can say myself.
Do the Nazis stand out in your mind as a big menace?
For the Nazis?
Yeah.
Yeah, me myself. Now I think that's really actually kind of foolish. You understand that people can't come to live amongst one another. You understand, without all this disturbance and vandalism and things like that amongst one another. You know, I was listening and watching that Common Grounds the other night on television.
Yes.
Common Ground, and they had a Nazi from out of this neighborhood from Marquette Park.
Yes.
On Common Ground, and he was speaking about that so many of Negroes should go back over in Africa and this and that. But I mean, what I can't understand is that why should if we could come over and build up, why should we couldn't be able to live over here? That's the only thing I can't understand.
Do you think that integration could actually work?
It should work.
Yes, but do you think it can work? And what methods should be taken to achieve it?
What it should be achieved to make it is everybody should be entitled to live as they please to live.
Well,
just because I move in the house right here next door to you, and you live here next door and you're white, why should you want to move out?
Yes, that's exactly what I want to ask you. From a black perspective, what should be done to keep the whites from moving? Without the whites staying, there will be no genuine integration. The neighborhood will be changing from lily white to jet black. Matter of fact, that will be exactly what's been happening in the whole city of Chicago.
What should be done? Really, actually, I couldn't answer that question because I really don't know why they be running out. You understand? I'll be searching for a home better for my kids, a nice neighborhood for my kids to be in, this and that. That's the same as they are. You understand? Well, there are slums and everything. You must find slums and everything everywhere you go. Everybody looking for a nice place to stay.
Why do you think the whites are moving out?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that, man.
And why do you think the whites are moving out?
Well, one thing
There must be a damn good reason, you know.
Well, it could be a prejudice side, you know.
Well, I mean,
prejudice side.
all right. Is that the only reason you might consider they're moving out?
Well, you know, like they want to move, you know, well.
But, for example, why should they take a $10,000 loss on their house just for prejudice?
Well, maybe because they're just so prejudiced, don't know, you know. They're just going to move.
All right.
Some whites plan to stay. Some have moved into Marquette Park out of neighborhoods that are practically all black now. Mr. and Mrs. Petrovichus are such a couple. They moved here from Jackson Park. Both are now retired. Mrs. Petrovichus worked at the University of Chicago, while her husband is an artist. To them, stability is doubly important. They have moved once before. Their home has a gallery that houses his life's artistic work. A careless incident by extremist whites or blacks can cause irreparable damage to his collection. Blacks have recently moved next door to them, but they have no plans to move. For them, race has never been a problem.
Mrs. Petrovichus, how long have you been living here in Marquette Park?
We live in Marquette Park about 20 years.
And where did you live before?
We lived by the lake over the East End Avenue was our last residence.
Was that in the East Englewood area?
This was by Jackson, I think Jackson Park was closest to us. This was a very nice neighborhood in the beginning. And my kids graduated integrated schools. Mount Carmel and my daughter graduated ladies, I don't remember the name anyway. And we lived there very peacefully. There was integrated community. There was blacks and whites. We lived together. And but then come the mass. I can't express myself how to call those people, but they started troublemakers, big troublemakers, throwing bottles, were afraid to walk on the streets.
Did the crime rate increase?
Well, that was that. And one night, I remember very clearly, about 2 o'clock at night, we have a ring on the doors, and I opened the door and saw 2 policemen. And they were standing there, and they asked me, did I call for help? I told no, we were just sleeping with my husband, and they were looking, I have no trouble at all. No, I told, it's okay. And about 2 o'clock at night, we have a ring on the doors, and I opened the door and saw 2 policemen. And they were standing there, and they asked me, did I call for help? I told no, we were just sleeping with my husband, and they were looking, I have no trouble at all. No, I told, it's okay. And they told to move out, because they told if second time we will call, they will not come. It's false calls. And it was dangerous to live there. So we bought this house very hardly because we have only a couple $1,000, and we borrowed another $1,000 to put a down payment. And we get it very, very hard.
So you found that living in a neighborhood that was changing very rapidly from white to black was impossible.
Not really white to black, because we lived together with the blacks, but they were nice people, hard-working people, like us, you understand? But they come, the people, we wanted to be rich in one day.
And
no principle.
How long did this transition take?
I took it about a year or 2 years. So
in 2 years,
yes.
The change became such that
we couldn't leave. We were about the last white people moved from there, and the police told us to move. This is why we bought that house.
Now, living here in Marquette Park neighborhood, which is also beginning to change, do you find any similarities that existed?
For a while, it's fine. The people are very nice, no complaints about them. We live here, our neighbors. They control the kids and everything, but I don't know how long. That's the problem.
And what would you do if this neighborhood would become 80 or 90% black?
Well, depends what kind of people move here, and who guarantee. I don't have anything against race or religion or anything, not at all. But how the person is.
Have the real estate people called you and inquiring
yes,
about selling the house?
They bothered me every day, and one time I told them go to hell. I was so, depressed and angry. They did. What is doing that real estate's doing, not the people, the real estates. They're selling the houses because they want to make easy money. And I think the blacks paying very high rents, and they're using those blacks too.
So you're saying that the whites and the blacks are being exploited by the real estate people?
That's the truth, 100% true.
And what should be done to stop the real estate people?
I don't know. He's America. He's a country. They call free country, but it's not free country. It's not the rights for one side or other side. The rights is the politics. The politics doing those things here.
You're saying the money talks?
The money talks, that's right. Money talks and power talks.
The whites and the blacks in Marquette Park and vicinity are each speaking in words and images that the other does not understand. The blacks talk about freedom and rights. The immigrants talk about identity, stability, and preservation. This lack of communication is surprising because they have so much in common. The Lithuanian immigrants came to America seeking freedom from communist oppression. The blacks came north seeking freedom from racial oppression. Both suffered and are still suffering from discrimination, each of them in their own way. Both worked hard in low-paying jobs. The old immigrants were stripped naked of their identity by the economic forces. So were the blacks. Now they, and the new immigrants, are seeking to preserve their identities. The reason for this lack of mutual understanding is the general belief that the problems involved are purely economic. Surely some economics is involved, but very few have thought about the delicate social fibers that have to be intertwined to produce a community that is just, fair, stable, and livable. This is a challenge not just for Marquette Park, but for America as a whole.